The Zephyrian Military Academy had trained warriors from across 17 different species for over 3 centuries. Its halls had echoed with the footsteps of Cronan berserkers, Alteran strategists, and Vextai assassins. But in all that time, no species had caused quite as much concern as the humans. Cadet Elsa Martinez stood at attention in the Academy's central courtyard, her regulation uniform crisp despite the morning's brutal training exercises. At barely 5.5 feet tall, she appeared unremarkable among her towering alien classmates. The Zephyrians averaged 8 feet in height, their crystalline exoskeletons gleaming in the pale sunlight of their homeworld. The Cronans were even larger, their thick bark-like skin scarred from countless battles. "Pathetic," Captain Vexthor hissed, his serpentine head swaying as he examined the human cadet. How did such a fragile creature even pass the entrance exams? Elsa remained perfectly still, her brown eyes focused straight ahead. She had learned early in her training that reacting to the captain's provocations only made things worse. The Zephyrian officer seemed to take particular pleasure in targeting the Academy's lone human student. "I asked you a question, meatbag," Vexthor snarled, stepping closer. His 4 arms gestured dismissively at her small frame. "Surely even your primitive brain can formulate a response." "Sir, I passed the same examinations as every other cadet here," Elsa replied evenly, her voice carrying just the right amount of military deference. Vexthor's mandibles clicked in what passed for Zephyrian laughter. "The same examinations? Impossible. Your species lacks the physical capabilities of proper warriors. Observe." Without warning, the captain grabbed Elsa's right hand, his chitinous fingers wrapping around her pinky. The other cadets watched in stunned silence as Vexthor applied pressure, his 4 arms giving him leverage that no human could match. The snap was audible across the courtyard. Elsa's face went white, but she didn't cry out. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she looked down at her broken finger, then back up at the captain with those same calm brown eyes. "Was there a lesson in that, sir?" she asked quietly. Vexthor's compound eyes glittered with sadistic satisfaction. "Yes, cadet. The lesson is that humans are weak, fragile, unfit for military service alongside superior species." "Understood, sir." Elsa cradled her injured hand against her chest. "Permission to report to medical bay?" "Denied. You will complete today's exercises with your injury. Perhaps it will teach you humility." As the captain moved on to terrorize other cadets, Elsa felt something cold settle in her chest. It wasn't pain from her broken finger, though that throbbed with each heartbeat. It was something else entirely, something that her instructors at Terra Military Command had warned her about before she left Earth. "Humans," Colonel Hassan had told her during their final briefing, "have a peculiar relationship with violence. We're not the strongest, fastest, or most naturally armed species in the galaxy. But we have something most others lack. Proportional response is a foreign concept to us." The rest of the day passed in a haze of agony. Elsa completed obstacle courses, combat simulations, and weapons training with her injured hand, tucked protectively against her body. Her scores plummeted, earning her demerits and extra duties. The other cadets watched with a mixture of pity and disgust as she struggled through exercises that would have been trivial with 2 functional hands. By evening mess, word had spread throughout the academy about the human's broken finger. Conversations stopped when Elsa entered the dining hall, her right hand now in a crude splint fashioned from training equipment. She sat alone, as usual, methodically eating her ration of processed protein, while mentally cataloging everything she had observed about Captain Vexthor throughout the day. His routines, his preferences, his weaknesses. After dinner, Elsa made her way to the Academy's medical wing. The automated diagnostic unit scanned her injury and dispensed a basic pain reliever, along with instructions for proper healing. As she left the medical bay, she noticed something interesting. The captain's personal quarters were located just down the hall, and his evening routine was remarkably predictable. Every night at 2200 hours, Vexithor would review training reports in his office. At 22:30, he would walk the perimeter of the academy grounds, At midnight, he would return to his quarters through the medical wing entrance, a shorter route that avoided the main corridors where night shift instructors might want to discuss the day's training. Elsa returned to her dormitory and waited. Her roommate, a Cronin named Thrak, snored peacefully in the opposite bunk. The sound would provide excellent acoustic cover. At 2355 hours, Elsa slipped out of her room and made her way through the academy's dimly lit corridors. She positioned herself in an alcove near the medical wing entrance, her injured hand throbbing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Right on schedule, Captain Vexthor appeared around the corner, his forearms swinging confidently as he walked. He was reading something on a datapad, completely absorbed in whatever report had caught his attention. Elsa stepped out of the shadows. "Captain," she said softly. Vexthor looked up, his compound eyes registering first surprise, then amusement. "The broken human. What are you doing out of quarters after lights out?" "I wanted to thank you, sir." Elsa's voice was calm, almost pleasant. "For the lesson about human weakness. Finally showing proper gratitude?" The captain's mandibles clicked approvingly. "Perhaps there's hope for your species after all." "Oh, there is," Elsa agreed. "We're very good students." Her left hand moved faster than Vexthor's enhanced reflexes could track. Years of Earth military training had taught her exactly where to strike, exactly how much force to apply. The captain's exoskeleton was formidable protection against most forms of attack, but evolution had left one crucial vulnerability, the joint where his neck connected to his thorax. The strike lasted less than a second. Vexthor's forearms flailed wildly as his nervous system struggled to process what had happened. Then he collapsed, his massive frame hitting the floor with a sound like breaking crystal. Elsa knelt beside the fallen captain, checking his pulse with her uninjured hand. Still alive but completely paralyzed. The precision strike had severed the nerve cluster that controlled voluntary movement below his neck. "You were right about humans being different," she whispered into his twitching ear. "We don't just break fingers when someone hurts us. We break the entire person." She stood up, straightened her uniform, and walked calmly back to her dormitory. Her finger still throbbed with each step, but somehow the pain felt more manageable now. The next morning, Captain Vexthor was discovered by a maintenance crew, his body twisted at an impossible angle. Academy investigators determined that he had suffered a tragic accident, perhaps a fall caused by his species' top-heavy physiology. Medical scans confirmed extensive damage to his cervical neural cluster. Cadet Elsa Martinez was never considered a suspect. After all, what could a small, fragile human possibly do to a trained Zephyrian warrior? As she stood at attention during the memorial service, her splinted finger hidden beneath regulation gloves, Elsa reflected on Colonel Hassan's final words before she left Earth. "Remember, Cadet, we didn't claw our way to the top of Terra's food chain by being nice. Don't let them forget that." The new captain, a more reasonable Alteran officer named Helen, took a notably different approach to training. Human cadets, she announced, would be evaluated based on their own species' capabilities rather than being compared to physically superior aliens. It was, everyone agreed, a much more civilized arrangement. Elsa smiled and kept her thoughts to herself.